Welcome to another Mind, Body, Spirit panel. Incredible guests the world over with incredible insights, experiences, oftentimes gifts. They've been helping others. They're authors, New York Times bestsellers, and more. We've had a White House physician to the US president. We've had the youngest Delta Force operator. We've had that Australian actor. If you watch Sea Patrol, he played Captain Mike Flynn, Australian Royal Navy. Lots of fun there. And then we've got healers of all different types of modalities and so on. So please check out the show and enjoy it. Today, very special panel. It's so special, we only needed two guests. We normally have three and make it a Brady Bunch square four guests. But two very, very special guests when it comes to Bigfoot, loving beings, the wilderness, nature, and a gentler, kinder, more compassionate way of life. These two can't be topped. So we have Thom Cantrall, and I can never pronounce names correctly, but he's got at least about 13 books out. He's ex-Navy, submariner for 5 years, engineer,
Submariner.
submariner. See, I can't pronounce anything.
Mhm.
A tinkerer, engineer, super sharp, self-taught on a lot of fronts, but began interacting with Bigfoot a long time ago. And by that, I mean Sasquatch, loving beings, and just coming to appreciate the nature of these beings in a whole different light. He was in Flash of Beauty first time I saw him. Same thing with Arla. So I want to do a shout out to that show, and you can see their original appearances there below this video. It'll be some links that I'm going to put in. I want people to see that, plus Sam Chandler. I thought he gave a great interview as well.
Mhm.
Arla Collett Williams. Now she's become a regular. This is her fourth appearance. Literally, it's like Arla's week right now for the show. She was episode 199 of the Angel Positivity and Love show, I think back in May. And then she was just back on, I'm going to say Wednesday of last week, I'm guessing. But also, we did just a kind of a spot recording for the APL Spotlight series. So here she is all over our channel this week. You should check out all the episodes. She and I have taken a lot of steps together with the universe. And I just want to welcome both of you here. I'm a huge fan. And I would like to start off, well, hello and welcome, Thom, Arla.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
I'd like to start off with one of the easiest questions on the planet. Before we dive into anything, what are two, three, or four takeaways for anyone watching starting tomorrow and on, or right now or tonight? How can they walk a little bit of a smoother path? How can they have a better understanding of what all this is about? Thom?
Hmm. Listen to what I mean, not what I say. Okay. Sometimes that's hard to pick between the two, but sometimes I say things that make sense to me that don't make sense to other people. And watch for that. And don't be afraid to ask about it. Okay, that's the main thing. Another thing is look deeper beyond what I'm saying. Because I'm not going to tell you the real nuts and bolts down deep bottom because that's too sacred to me. But I'll tell you the effects of it. And that's probably the two big things right there.
So you enjoy pointing the way, but giving the person their own experience.
Absolutely.
Nice. Arla.
Oh my goodness. Um, I've always said, and I can go back in things I wrote many, many years ago. And it was talking about having your heart open, shifting your paradigm. Um, and that's when the world opens up to you, is to just a little shift in your paradigm in looking at something. Then you begin to see other things. If you hold yourself in a box, whatever it is on the outside of your perceived box, you will miss all of that. All you will see is those four walls in your box. So, through the years, I've worked with a lot of people, and that was one of the first things I told them: shift your paradigm. Don't put everything in a box. Open your heart up, and you open up to a world that is amazing. And I can guarantee you, once you do that, you won't be able to get enough. There will be so much coming to you that joy will be such a big part of your life as all these experiences happen.
And talk to us a little bit about how kindness, compassion, just slowing down a little more or taking a breath daily is a big part of this. Arla?
Kindness and compassion are very high vibrational feelings. And when you allow those to be a part of your life, when that heart is open, those come easily. And when you connect with that, I mean, kindness, oh my goodness, there are so many ways to show kindness to people. I mean, just a smile, just a hello, just to reach down and pick something up if someone drops something. Those are such wonderful things to do. And when you are embracing that kindness and compassion, then the vibrations of the whole universe grow and open up. So many think that they can rule compassion. In other words, I can only have compassion for these people. That's not true compassion. Compassion is for everyone and everything, whether you agree with what happened or not. We don't have to like anything that happens, but we have to be respectful within ourselves when we view those things. Everybody, everybody deserves kindness and love and compassion. You know, and through mine and Tom's years of doing what it is that we do, there's been a lot of times that would have been really hard to have compassion and to care and to extend peace and love to people who come against you. And, but that's the only way that I can live. Everyone, regardless, deserves compassion, kindness, and love.
And Thom, for the kindness, compassion, love question, you've got your way you're going to answer right now, but do you mind also adding anything from your personal journey in life, any of the waypoints where you went from compassion, kindness, love, 101 to 301, then 301 to 501? Was there just different points when you were a teenager, when you were young, the Navy, perhaps after the Navy, that jump out at you as big moments of expansion?
I lived two lives. Okay. I lived a life of family, work, and whatever from 1943 to about the turn of the century. Okay. At that point, I ceased being a family person and became Thom Cantrall, the investigator, the writer, the learner. Okay. And that's the point in that change in my life. It was during that I met Arla. And you've got to remember this: compassion, love only work when the recipient is open to them. Okay. You can be as compassionate as is possible to be, as loving as is possible to be. If the recipient isn't open to it, you go nowhere with them. But don't let that bother you, because that's their problem. That's not your problem. You're doing what you need to do. They're not doing what they need to do in order to receive. Okay. They have steps they have to take yet. Doesn't mean they're bad people. Just means they aren't there yet. They still have steps to take. Now, I found out a lot about myself in this lifetime, and not all of it is shareable. Not all of it is even speakable, reproducible. But for that period of time, and especially for the last 15 years, it totally is. Because I learned, I was taught, and the key there, I was open to the teaching. And that's the key. That's the key we all have to learn. Be open to the teaching. I can tell you probably 10, 12 people right now that would be further than I am, certainly, and maybe even further than Arla is, if they had but have just opened their mind to it to begin with. But if they don't, where are they? Somewhere back there, and their time will come. It's just not, I don't have to beat myself up because it wasn't me that delivered the message. And remember that. You don't have to beat yourself up if you can't deliver the message.
I'm going to read 3 definitions of compassion, and then we're going to dive into this interview and talk a little bit of Sasquatch and more. But these quotes, I think if you grab the universe and ask the universe, angels, Jesus, Mary, Sasquatch, even the meaning of compassion or a definition, I don't think any one definition has to be the same as the next. You could get 10,000 definitions of compassion. No 2 have to be the same. I'm going to give 3, and I'd love to get any reaction. Jesus said like 10 years ago, compassion is open eyes and open heart. An angel named Dale said, compassion is just being and trusting the outcome to be of the highest intent for all. And then an angel named Mac, don't call her Mackenzie, said, compassion is treating every moment with the awareness of a newborn baby. Did one, all 3 of those 2 jump out, and who wants to go first?
I will, because one did jump out at me tremendously. And that's the first one that you read. Because yes, compassion is being open to all things. Okay, and without a doubt, that's the ultimate compassion, is to be open to all things. Does not mean the others are not true, because they certainly are. But that to me is the widest definition, the broadest definition.
And Arla, I'll throw in one more from Dull Knife, I believe Cheyenne Native American chief on the other side. Being kind to yourself and letting go of past failures and accomplishments in the now is a 4th definition. But did any of those jump out in particular, all of them?
Well, for me, to be compassionate, you have to have compassion as a part of who you are. To do it without a trigger to bring about compassion could be some event that happens. It could be even something going on in your world that, you just can't understand how in the world that could happen. And yet you have compassion for that. So when you are compassion, then you being compassionate is just a part of who you are.
Now, diving into the wilderness, nature, Sasquatch, and more, loving beings who have become your guides, helpers, instructors, whatever terminology you want to use. Can you describe how this came about and help the audience who haven't seen you like on Flash of Beauty or your many speaking engagements or your books? Can you help them start to grasp how amazing your experiences have been?
Go ahead, Thom.
Okay. Mine is fairly cut and dried. On the 25th of September, whose anniversary is coming up in 2 days, 1910 or 2010, so 15 years ago, 2 days from now, I was going I was going to take a drive into the Blue Mountains. I had cabin fever in one of the worst ways. I had a terrible case of it. And so I had planned this drive. And I got a message on Facebook from the lady over there on the other side that said, about this road that you're going on, is there a pile of wood on that road? I says, I don't know. I haven't been on this road. I've been on the ridge stop on either side, but this road goes up the bottom of the river and it's been closed. It was Boise Cascade Tree Farm. They shut it down and deeded it to the tribe on the Umatilla Indian Reservation. And they've been working on the road and just got it opened and have opened it to the public. And I'm going to go up that road as far as I can go and see what's there. So I decided in doing this, what I would do is I would drive until I saw a pile of wood. If I saw a pile of wood, that was my destination because I had no real destination in mind. I was just investigating. Well, before I came to the end of the road, there was a big pile of wood. So I got out and I set up my camp. And my camp, it consists of some things that maybe some camps don't. I have to have my ice chest with its Diet Pepsi and its chicken hips, and which are thighs, by the way, roasted. And then I open up my folding chair, sit myself down, open up my Kindle, and read, grab a chicken hip, nibble on that, open a Diet Pepsi, and wait till they come to find me. Because they will. They'll get curious of why you're sitting there, and they'll come and visit you, won't they, Arla? They'll come and if you look up, they'll be looking at you. Well, on this day, I got there probably 9 o'clock in the morning, and because I had stopped and picked a box of apples, and I picked a box of grapes to bring along for them. And I had those set up there. I had my little smudge burning at the time, and I was deeply involved in my novel while still watching around. And all of a sudden, this voice comes into my mind. I can't come out to see you. There's been too much traffic. There were 4 vehicles that day on the road. Okay, that was too much traffic. I might be seen. I said, oh, okay. Would it be better then if I just packed everything up and went back home and came another day? I mean, I was there on Saturday just because it was Saturday. I'm totally retired. I live on 6 Saturdays and a Sunday. I could have been there Tuesday as well as Saturday, and it wouldn't have mattered. And he says, yes, perhaps that would be better. I said, do you want me to leave the boxes of fruit for you? And he kind of laughed. And if you've never had a 9-foot Sasquatch laugh at you, you've never been laughed at. I want you to tell that. It kind of reverberates inside you. He says, look at the river. And I took a few steps over, looked at the river, and it was bank to bank with salmon. Oh, I see. He says, perhaps bring it back in the time of the white snow. I said, yes, I can do that, certainly. And I will. So I started loading everything back up in my car. I got totally loaded, had my right foot under the steering wheel, and was sliding down into the seat. And he stood up right in front of me, 12 feet away, 9 foot 3 inches tall, because there's a little hawthorn tree that he stood up underneath. And his head just barely reached this one limb. And when I measured it, it was 9 foot 3 inches from that limb to the ground. Now, Nathaniel, that's the name of the hawthorn tree. I mean, what else you gonna name a hawthorn, right? Nathaniel just stood there and let him stand. But he did. He looked at me and he said, I wanted you to see me before I left. I wanted you to know that I am real. And when I call to you, I want you to answer. Yes, of course I will. And that's how I met my teacher. 25 September 2010. And he talked to me as late as last night.
And before we go to Arla, and only sharing what you wish to share, which of course is how you're already rolling, how would you describe the flavor, his personality, as if it's a relative or a close friend or a teacher, obviously? How would you describe the personality or just some flavor for how the relationship has evolved over time? Some extra flavor.
Started out as a very close brother-in-law, someone who knew a lot more than I did about a subject I wanted to know more about. And it has evolved into pure brotherhood. There's no in-law about it.
Arla.
Well, my first encounter was at age 6, but I'm going to jump ahead many, 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 many years to when Kashima came. And because that was what started me sharing with the public, because that wasn't something we had done. I was getting ready to go to a gathering in Lincoln City, Oregon for the International Council of 13 Indigenous Grandmothers. And I did ceremony for 7 days before of a morning and of an evening. And I won't go into that whole week because it was something else. But I was told that while I was at the grandmother gathering, that I would be asked to walk through a door. And if I chose to walk through this door, people would say, how can you work with that energy? Now, I had no idea, what this was going to be, but at the gathering, there were grandmothers, the 13 from around the earth. The day that the door opened, I saw grandmother Searing Doma, who was Tibetan and had to leave Tibet under China's, what China had done. And she was someone I would say that could walk softly, but she carried a really big stick. So even in her sweet way of teaching, it was very powerful. Well, the next grandmother, which would be later in the day, was going to be grandmother Omabombo, who was from Nepal and who actually channeled Kali and Hanuman. Now, being from Oklahoma, I knew about them, and not to say that people in Oklahoma don't know about them, but I didn't know a whole lot, but I knew enough. So the girls that I was with, we got there early. It was out on the beach. There was a huge cornmeal circle that was placed where we would be outside the circle. Everything inside the circle was sacred for the grandmothers to teach. Well, we got there early because we wanted to get close because we knew Hamabambo was going to teach. And so we got there right up by the circle. And we were sitting there waiting for this to start. and grandmother Omabombo comes into the circle. They bring a piece of board, kind of like plywood, and put it on the sand, not 5 feet from us. And I'm thinking in my mind, Omabombo is going to be setting on that. That's awful close. And so they bring her in, and she sits down and she begins her ceremony and things. And she is levitating off of this board. We are seeing her. She's setting, coming up off of this board. You can see under her. And it's just so wonderful. And then I'm thinking, and I hear her. She starts to say, "Come, Collie, come, Collie, come." And I'm like, "Oh, brother, I don't know a whole lot of Collie, but I don't know if I want to be 5 foot from her or not if she comes." And Collie did not come. Hanuman came through. But watching all that, that was just the energy, everything was just something I had never experienced like that. So it was that evening after she had taught, and they had a blessing. Everyone who want to be blessed by grandmother Omabombo could come, and she would bless you. And of course, we got in line, and I got to her. And of course, you're down on your knees and you're in front of her, and she's, touching you and blessing you. And the feeling was just so wonderful. And I left and went by myself and just began to be quiet. And that's when the door opened. And I'm there thinking, I have no clue what I'm walking through to get to. I don't know what it is that's on the other side of that door. I do know that people are going to question this energy that I'm working with, but I have no clue. But I told them I will walk through the door. And of course, I had the support of the ancestor grandmothers who are a part of my channeling life. And when I got back home, after that was over, my sister-in-law called. She wanted to know everything that happened. She said, "Let's go out and eat." So we went out and ate, and I picked up a little paper that's around the lake about things going on. I get home, I read it, and there is a story about the Sasquatch being not very far from my house, which I already knew they were there. That was just something I knew. But to see it in a newspaper with the footprints, I was just blown away. And I'm like, wow. So I tell my girlfriend, and she said, "Sasquatch, Bigfoot." And I said, "What? How are you going to work with that energy?" And I'm like, "No, no, I won't be speaking about them. I've spent my whole life not talking in public about them. Why would I be doing that now?" Well, I found out that was what I would be doing. And 2 days after that, I was sitting in the back in my swing, just in prayer and meditation. I heard someone walk up. I opened my eyes, and there was Kashima standing in front of me. All he said to me was, "I am Kashima." And I was so overtaken by the love and the energy that I just dropped my head and close my eyes, and I heard him walk away. Yes, he was in the physical, and yes, I could hear his footsteps. And that was the beginning of me beginning to speak in public, and it went very quickly after that. I got thrown into this whole Bigfoot research world, which I thought people were teasing me when they said, oh, yeah, there's a research world. They're trying to prove Bigfoot exists. And I'm like, why would they do that? They've always been here. But that was my beginning to speak. And it was shortly after that that Thom and I met online. And there was just something between us. It was like, this is my brother. And he was like, this is my sister. And it was funny because people were always trying to put us as a couple. Oh, yeah, you heard about Thom and Arla. And it was so much more than that. And that started one of the best things that's ever happened to me in my life. The experiences we've had together from coast to coast, literally, and into British Columbia.
Mm-hmm.
So, yeah, we could tell story after story about her escapades.
Well, before we have you each ask, the brother asks the sister a question, the sister is going to ask the brother a question, and you might have to answer the same question. So careful with those. I'd love to have Arla describe for the audience Thom, and then Tom's going to describe Arla, and then we'll see who volunteers to go first to ask a question of the other that helps draw out more so the audience can grasp more as we go further into the interview. Arla, what do people need to know about Thom?
Oh, in the beginning, he was a big old growly teddy bear. And after RS came, he just mellowed so much into this big, lovable person. I mean, he was lovable before, but the transformation was remarkable. And I know for certain that if I need something or there's a problem, I can call him and say, Thom. And that even goes down to, I'll tell a real quick story here about him. I decided at the age of 65 that I was going to get my pilot car license, which would allow me to be an escort for oversized semi loads and travel around the United States doing that. And I'm sure people have seen these big loads on the road, and they'll have cars with lights and all this stuff. And there are things you have to do this that go on your car and other things. And Thom, like the big brother, he helped me get some of those things that I needed. Well, it was funny because we were laughing one day about having a sugar daddy. And I said, well, I don't have a sugar daddy. I have a Splenda daddy. And so from then on, that was kind of a funny story. And we even pulled Bob Gimlin in on that one. So he is a real brother that loves me and cares about me. And I know if I got stuck somewhere, he would do everything in his power to make sure that I was taken care of.
That's right.
Tom, about Arla.
I've never met anybody in my life that affected me the way Arla has, including my own sisters. Um, we have so much fun together and can do it without sexual overtones. And I mean, driving in the middle of the night across Alabama and Mississippi, the middle of the night, going to a camp out. The two oldest people in the whole unit driving the latest, sitting around a campfire with 18 people and watching two Sasquatch come up, stand right behind me, campfire. Yeah. Her watching when they leave, she follows them and meets up with two more back in the brush. Sitting at my desk working, I'm having problems with my heart. I end up having to call the paramedics. They come in, I'm on the gurney, heading out the door, my phone rings. It's her. What's wrong with you and who are those people there? Well, I working at my computer. How are you doing today? Well, I've got some pain. Such and such. Have you asked Red Stripe for help? No, I haven't. I probably should. Red Stripe, Tom needs help. And there was a pain somewhere, and it stopped just like that. Just like that. Okay. I'm working on my computer, and we're talking. Who's the woman in the room there with you? There's no woman in the room with me. I'm by myself, sitting in my bedroom with my computer table. So she describes her to me. It's my mother. And my mother passed in 1978. That's Arla.
Tom, can you describe Red Stripe for us just a little bit? I know you've done it on many other shows, but the audience should know how Red Stripe got the name.
Well, Red Stripe, the name comes from the fact that he has a red stripe painted on himself from his left shoulder to over his right hip, diagonally across his chest. He has 3 black lines over his nose and a star and a crescent moon tattooed on him as well. That's my teacher. He's 9'3" tall and leaves a 17-inch track. And I have one of his footprints cast that's 17 inches long. And if you use the formula on that, 17 times 6.5 comes right out to 9'3". That's what he's supposed to be. So he's right in the middle of the bell curve for height by foot length. He's my teacher. He guides me. He's done things for me that you would never not believe. I had, what year was it, Arla? 20, 21 or 19. I had pneumonia, and I was so bad in the hospital that they sent word to my next of kin that I wouldn't be leaving the hospital. Well, I beat him, but I went into a nursing care facility for 2 years. By the time I left the nursing care facility, I was still on, I think I was still on my CPAP machine at night, but not during the day. But while I was in that facility, it was definitely all night, and then I had oxygen on during the day. Okay, so I when I went to bed, I had my walker I'd walk around, sit on the side of the bed, open the seat up, take my oxygen off, and put my CPAP on. And then I get up the next morning. First thing I did was open the seat, take my hairbrush out, brush my hair, and then reverse it, go the other way, take CPAP off, put the oxygen on. Well, I got up this one morning, sat there, opened the thing to get my hairbrush, and there's an eagle feather there. Now, there's 3 nesting pairs of eagles in the entire county where I live, King County. I have primary wing feather off one of those 3 nesting pairs given to me by my teacher at night while I slept in a locked room in a locked facility. Want to explain to me how he did that? He told me, this is our gift to you as the mark for our scribe. Yes, I've written 15 books, but I've written them for them. Yeah, my name's on them because they don't, if I put his real name on it, people wouldn't believe it. But the ideas all come from them. 3 o'clock in the morning, I'm awake with ideas coming in where I should go next with the book, depending on which one I'm working on. I said, can't we do this later? No, 3 o'clock, you're not bothered. I'd say, hey, I'm retired. I'm not bothered at 9 either, you know. But he couldn't know. And I find out there's a major energy line that comes through that area at 3 a.m., which is why I was being contacted at that time, because that's when the energy was strongest. But that's my teacher. That's Red Stripe. And he still comes and sees. Now his daughter comes and sees me. Again, thanks to Arla. His daughter goes to Arla to talk to her. Now, we've known that we have a relationship. We've known that for some time. She was wasn't even a teenager yet, was she? She was preteen when we first met. Now she's 21, I think.
Yeah.
And she's also got red hair. I took an artist friend with me up to that area one day to see her, to a chance of meeting her. And she was peeking out from behind Dad's legs, totally excited because here was a human woman with the same color hair she had, just ecstatic over this. It was unbelievable. But so we know we have a future together. And it's going to be, it's been foretold. So that's why she comes to see me. But she's still in a giggly stage. But it's so much fun to hear her giggle. And she won't come in my room. She stays out in the hall where I've got the Sasquatch pictures hung out there.
Yeah.
And paintings. But I can hear her and I know she's there. And that's all it takes.
That's awesome. In a second, I'm going to light sage, but I'm going to buy a little time, not that you need it, to ask each other a question. And you might have to answer that question as well. Here's some sage in Texas. You all are in different parts of the country. We did this before the show, and Arla and I have done this a bunch before, off camera, on camera. I'm just lighting the sage, catch what you can catch. But if you don't mind asking the universe, all the loving beings out there, or a particular loving being, to bring you something very special on top of the sage. Ooh, that's a big flame. Okay, plenty of flame there. Here comes the smoke, and I'm going to tell one dad joke. And as you laugh, you're letting go at home because you can catch this smoke. It doesn't matter if it's 2028. and you're in Tokyo or you're in a forest in Germany. Here's the dad joke. What's the only flower found on the human face? Tulips.
Tulips.
Or iris. Somebody else, there's always another answer to everything. So here's the sage. Are you getting it in Oklahoma, Arla?
Mhm.
And are you getting something else? Red-tailed hawk feather.
Rain smell. I'm getting the smell of rain.
And Thom, how about yourself?
Just wood. Just the wood, the smell of the woods.
And we had that before the show as a reference for folks. I'm going to snub this out now. Who's going first, Arla? Who's asking the question of the other?
I'll leave that for you, Arla.
Okay, Arla, you've been
Thanks.
volunteered.
I appreciate that. I'm wondering. Oh my gosh. We have had so much fun through the years. You talk about laughter. Oh my gosh, we would get together, be going off down the road somewhere. I mean, we've driven to British Columbia together, across the border, which I'd never ever done before. My gosh.
She got a border guard to actually laugh, and their laugh system is totally removed when they take that job, surgically removed. But she got him to laugh right on duty at the border. Can you imagine that?
Oh my goodness. One of the adventures we went on, we were speaking in Pocatello, and I flew out to Salt Lake, and I was picked up, and Scott Nelson, I don't know if you know that name, but if you're into Sasquatch research and in that world, most people know who Scott Nelson is. And so I rode up with him, but then Thom was going to take me back to catch flight at Salt Lake City. So Thom, what for me, what was the highlight of that trip?
Oh, there were so many. That night in what's his name's hometown was fantastic. Becky,
Dave
just
Carver.
Becky. Yeah, but just Becky, I think it probably have to be, without a doubt, the highlight of that trip. Just getting to know that lady.
Yeah.
Yeah, she's gone now. She's passed. But the things she did for us, the places she took us,
Yeah.
the way she treated us was just out of this world. Showed us a moose.
Yay.
Yeah, yeah. Showed us a place where we went backwards up the hill without power. Yeah, I would have to say it was Becky, without a doubt.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was definitely the biggest blessing on that whole trip, her and her family. And
Yes. Yes, her family was part of that.
Yeah. That's one of the things that Thom and I have got to share over the years, is meeting some wonderful people. And we've met some people who, they thought differently about things. And I thought I wouldn't mention this, but I'm being prodded to mention this to tell you how hard it was for the Bigfoot research world to deal with Thom and I together. And we were given a name by a group. Um, Tom was given the name of Pope of the Sasquatch, and I was the Immaculate Mother of Wu. And we had so much fun with that
If
because
they'd known how
it
much fun we were going to have with that, they'd never said it.
no, they did it totally as a derogatory thing, and we loved it. It did not affect us negatively at all, and we've laughed about it so much that what they thought that they were doing that was going to make us mad did not make us mad at all.
What I'd like to do next is I'm just going to show a little bit of light on my hands and then go bigger and wider. You'll get anything else that you get. We do this most shows. I forget a lot though too. And then with your permission, I'd like you both just to go into your own stillness, your heart, your connection, and just see what comes out of it. But I'm going to put a little circuit breaker in and just show a little bit of light, aura, consciousness, love. Or Arla and I have done this before. And after that, if you both don't mind in your own fashion, if you don't mind going full stop, you're already connected right now, but I'm just buying a little 20-second circuit breaker to set the table. And then if you don't mind taking us somewhere with that, it may be an unconditional love figure coming in, bringing up a topic. It may be just a reminder of that time by the stream. We'll see. But I get a chance to tell another dad joke, so this is pretty good. You guys have not heard this one before. What do you call a fish with no eye? Fish, drop the I. And then what'd the fish with no eye say when he hit a wall? Damn. Okay, I'm going to put my hands up. And this is in the movie Celestine Prophecy, but I had a guest who was around in the 70s. She's like, we were doing this before the movie ever existed. And in India, they do it this way. Okay, you'll just see a little filament of light between my fingers. Gold, green, yellow, 5 colors at once. Rainbow light, stop everything, hold the presses. Go out and buy a lotto ticket. Okay, what are you seeing, Arla, between my fingers for light?
I'm seeing white.
Okay, and Tom, are you getting something?
No.
Okay, I'm going to go wider for you, Arla, and a little faster. What are you getting now?
It's blue. It's a swirl of blue.
And I'll stop in just a second. Tom, if you don't mind, full stop, let whatever loving figures want to come in and take us somewhere, or they'll take us somewhere, whichever way you want to roll with this. But just a little bit, it could be fun. It could be a reminder. It could be a reminder for all of us watching how simple life is.
What I'm reminded of, and when I think about it, we attended Beachfoot together one year, and there was an old timer there. What's his name? Do you remember, Arla?
Which one?
One of the oldest ones. Was he one of the four horsemen?
Oh, Peter Byrne was
Peter
there.
Byrne, that's the one. Yeah, yeah. Peter Byrne never had much use for me to start with, and then Arla showed up. Oh, Brian and I, our BC contact, were doing a presentation on glyphs and what we had learned. And Peter Byrne just about chortled in the presentation. He got up and left. Just and I waved at him. That's the type of thing that we ran into so much. That type of attitude. I was asked to speak. Oh, it was in my own hometown in Kennewick when Russell Acord had a conference there, and I was asked to speak, but wasn't allowed to say anything. I could speak on anything I wanted to as long as it didn't get anything into the woo. Well, people came out afterwards, and I didn't really follow his dire threats anyway, and talked about what I wanted to talk about anyway. And people came out afterwards. Well, if what you're saying is true, and we have no reason to doubt you, what's that mean what they're saying? And it's very simply, just go ask them how many they have dealt with in their life. How many of them have they sat with and communicated? And how many of them have seen twins born? You know, none of them had. How shocking. Yet they were telling you how they lived with no experience. And I probably had more converts that weekend than at any time ever. Because people just, they're wrong. You're right. You know, because they realized they did not have any, and now he's parlayed that into a TV gig and still hasn't seen one face to face. So,
You know, people were hungry for more.
yeah.
You know, there had been people who had been researching and doing the same things for 20 years and didn't have any more than what they had from the beginning. The key there, they didn't shift their paradigm. They did not look outside the box. And at that time, there were so many who were looking outside their own box, and they were looking for people who could help them to understand this. And that was a big switch in what Thom and I did, or at least that we weren't always being questioned about the woo or whatever. You know, and now it's very common, and I would venture to say there's a whole lot more that believe in this outside the box existence than those who are still in the box. And you know, that happened because so many people came looking for someone who understood that.
People are strange that way. I have people come up to my table and they're clear across the aisle as far as they can get from my table, looking at my display, and they're really real. Yeah, they're really real. They do exist. Yeah, they do exist. And within 2 minutes, they're at my table, leaning over down my throat, telling me about their experience. But they start out with asking if they're even really real. And it's so cool to see people do that.
Well, both of you let people know it's okay to be as they are and to have their experiences and to be here. And this isn't about thinking, it's about less thinking. So that's the next question, about being in the heart a little bit more. What's your advice to folks out there? And obviously they're getting their experience as it is perfectly from the universe right now. But if you're to give them a little extra advice, what is it for walking a smoother path daily? Arla.
Well, you know what I'm going to say first, and that's to be living in your heart and allowing your heart to guide some of these things that you're doing. We have been divided in many ways, and we can't do that. We have to see that we are all connected. We are all related. We are all a part of everything that is here. And if you can open that, you come to this where, gosh, life runs so much smoother. Yeah, I'm still having stuff happen that I have to deal with, and we lose people and all kinds of things. But that heart just helps you to understand in a deeper way what's really what's really going on. So it it's that simple, for me, is to always be in your heart and allow that heart to guide you. Now, the brain has a place in this body, and to have that coherence between the brain and the heart is the ultimate. And so that's something that I see so much now. There are so many people who have had Sasquatch come to them to help them, to guide them. And I told people many years ago, when they come to this and you want to learn about these beings, these Sasquatch beings that are so wonderful, that if you open your heart to this, you're going to learn about them. You're going to learn things that you never could have imagined. But more than that, you're going to learn who you are and how you are in this world.
Tom, I'm awfully sorry that you have to follow up after that amazing answer.
Well,
You can.
it's the same answer.
I was gonna say.
Open up.
Okay.
Open up. You can't do it if you remain closed.
Mm-mm.
You have to open up your heart. You have to open up your mind. Allow the things to come to you and understand what's coming. Don't be afraid to ask questions because they'll be answered. But you have to understand. You must be open in order for these things to come in. Okay? Heart, brain, it makes no difference where it hits because if you handle it right, it'll shift. It'll go from one to the other. Maybe I'm unique in that way. I hope not. But that's what's happened. Many things have happened in my heart that I had to understand later. Oh, you had a picture of one on your lead in there with the little, yeah. Pardon at my age, words slip out of my mind at the strangest time. But when these things started showing up on films, what's that? And Arla's little people and this and that. These are things I didn't know about, and I've lived in the woods forever. I started the Sasquatch investigation, 68 years ago, 1958 anyway. Okay, that's a long time ago. And then started in the wood, doing it in the woods. And after I got out of the Navy, didn't do much good to look for Sasquatch 200 feet below the surface of the North Pacific, North Atlantic. But when I got ashore, I did and started seeing and finding and learning. Okay, that all came in sequence, but I had to be open to do it. Otherwise, it wasn't going to happen. And it's the same with everybody else. You have to be open. They're there. If you're one of their people, those they want to work with, they will come to you. Okay. All you have to do is have that chair, open it up, sit yourself down, grab your boiled egg and your fried chicken hip, your Kindle and your Diet Pepsi, and you're there. Okay. They will come to you. I learned that very early on in the 1970s when I was hiking back in the state of Washington where I live. If you're going to build a road that crosses a stream used by anadromous fish runs, that's fish go to sea and come back to spawn in fresh water. And in our area, primarily salmon and steelhead, but there are many others the same way. Smelt, oh yes, smelt. And so uh, you have to have a permit from the state to do so. In order to get that permit, you have to submit a request to them, and that's what I would be hired for. People would hire me, companies would hire me. They had engineers on their own crew, but they got the ones alongside the road. I got the ones that were 7 miles in. So you'd hike in, do your job, measure all your measurements, water flow, water depth, um, speed, water velocity, bank makeup, everything around it. What type of material you're going to be working through, what you're going to use for ballast on it and such. And you had to did all this and then go sit down and do a drawing of the whole thing. Well, I learned really quickly. You don't hike out, sit down at the desk and start your drawing and find out you've forgotten one measurement and have to hike back in the next day, 7 miles in and 7 miles out. You sit down right there and you just do a full drawing just to make sure you have all the measurements. But when I was doing that, I would hear a whistle. I'd look up pretty quick here to be these eyeballs peeking around a tree at me. And they'd be around the other side of the tree peeking out. First of all, a long time I thought they only had one eye, just drifted back and forth. But I figured out they finally had two, found that they had two. And that's how I got to know them, was doing exactly that. And they would come to me because they get curious. Here I am under old growth timber. There's not been anybody there in 400 years because there's no feed under old growth timber. There's no animals. They don't live there. So the native peoples, the indigenous peoples who lived there, they came to the forest to hunt. So they hunted where the game was. And the game wasn't deep in old growth forests, not in old growth softwood forests because they're 400 and 500 years old. So there's nothing underneath. So if you want game, you stay out in the second growth. And that's why they burned it regularly too. The natives were quite good at burning areas regularly so that the game would start regrowing. Here come the deer and the elk and their feed. Makes it much easier to capture them. But I'm far and far away from what we were talking about, Arla.
No, you did great. That was awesome. Arla, we're going to talk a little bit about loving beings beyond Sasquatch. How would you like to cover that topic? And can I put up a photo of an angel named Joy and see if she's got anything that you want to share with us or give you kind of a direction to go? We've done this before, so I'm putting up a photo of an angel named Joy in light energy form. And people at home can put their hands up and treat it like a fireplace. Feel sparkle. Try too hard, you'll feel it on your toes. What are you getting from Joy, Arla?
She said to open your eyes because joy is all around you.
I love that. You can't beat that. Star people, angels, loving beings, fairies, heck, even distant relatives that you love to have over for a long weekend. There are a lot of loving folks out there that are ready to help, that are fun to hang out with. How do you like to describe this whole big smorgasbord called the universe or the cosmos or something?
Oh my gosh. It's the biggest buffet of love that you will ever go to. I couldn't even begin to start to name all the people that Thom and I know um, who have grown so much over the last several years and who are now out there sharing all of that. You know, the star people, the little people, the fairies, so many of the elementals. Yes, there she
Ginger the
is.
fairy. Yep.
Ginger. We have a very good friend called Ginger. Ginger that Thom named Tinkerbell, and he calls her Tink. Tinker, and she is very much that. Um, but all of these beings are not big, bad, scary things. They are loving beings. And, you know, I say all the time, I love because I am loved, and I am loved because I love. That's pretty simple. That's what you put out. And if that's what you put out, then that's where your focus will be. You know, it doesn't mean that you don't go through these 3D things because you're going to here. But you have got so many that are supporting you from these realms, as well as the humans, that there are so many people in our lives that I just can't even begin to express the enormity of what they're doing for this world and for humanity. You know, you being blessed by knowing those people and being blessed to get to see people who the light bulb goes off and they go, whoa, wait a minute now. There's something going on here. And you see them grow. It's just amazing. You know, our world is filled with helpers and filled with love. That's just where your focus needs to be.
Thom, I've got a Winnie the Pooh quote for you to get you going here on the next question. And this Winnie the Pooh quote, it's some people talk to animals. Not many listen, though. That's the problem, Winnie the Pooh. But I'll add that's the problem, and that's the opportunity for us all. And that's the question. Listening more, or just call it paying attention, or stopping the chatter, or going full stop here. I mean, whoa, science. All the experts could use a dose of that. Whether we're talking UFOs, UAPs, Sasquatch, or anything else in between. The more you just slow your roll, the more the universe steps in. And there's a lot of universal knowing to be had instead of the currency we operate with as humans. I'm going to go right back to that currency. I'm not shutting my thinking off, but our type of thinking is knowing that precludes possibility. You operate with a knowing that allows for the possibility. Can you talk to us more about that? And especially Red Stripe, whether he's coming through in a little bit or it's you reflecting back over time, some of the interactions. What can you share?
A great deal of it and probably is reflecting back over the teachings of the last 15 years, minus 2 days. But a lot of it is being kind of shoved in as I talk to. I've only forgotten a couple of words, and I do that when I'm working out of my own mind, not what he's working for. So that's indicative of that. He is the most loving creature, but you have to remember that it's the most loving race. There is no there is no hatred in that people, not for themselves, not for us, not for anybody. Now, does that mean they all accept us 100%? Absolutely not. There's some would wish we'd fall off the end of the earth and just go away. But that doesn't mean that they would be the person, the individual to shove us off the end of the earth. Okay. They won't do anything because it's not in their nature to do anything against us. But they also know that we're their biggest problem too, especially now with so many people looking for them. You know, I don't know what you can do best for them. Stay home and have a Diet Pepsi. You know, pull up a video on YouTube and enjoy it, and give them time to be alone with their families too. One thing, and that's one thing. Another thing is, I know how people investigate, and for the most part, they don't get very far off the road. You know, some do. We have a group in our area, came along several years ago and invited me to come join them one camp out. I did. I've been back to many more since. And this is going to be one time I'll use a name. Barb Shoop runs the nicest ship that you'll ever want to see run as far as learning about Sasquatch. Those people, and there's 20 of them to 22 of them, sometimes one or two more at each camp out. And number 50 is coming up next summer.
Yeah.
She does so much to help them learn. And the things that they have happened to them are beyond description. Totally beyond description. So,
Thom, when you look at the stars, you're out one night in the middle of not nowhere, but somewhere special. Can you share a moment that's maybe a little less about Sasquatch right now, but more about the stars? Something special, something about the universe, something the other part of the universe, even though it's all one, reached
you
out to
know,
you, or you saw something, felt something, knew something, but then, the mind usually shoves that stuff away for a little while.
the trouble is I know so little about that. Yes, I know they exist. I know the star people exist. And I know they visit us when it's their time to do so. But it's not something I have personal experience with. And I'm not qualified to talk on something that I don't know anything about. That's why I tend to stick with Sasquatches, because I do have a lot of experience with them. And I love the stars. I love to lay on my back and watch them, watch what happens, pick out the satellites from the stars, and watch them as they soar through our universe. And that's only, I mean, we're only looking at just a minuscule part of the universe when we look at the stars that we can see. There is so much more to our universe that we can't see, that's too dim for us to see, too far away for us to see. Look at the stuff that the new telescopes that are coming up with. You know, I just was watching a video this last week on that, and it's unbelievable. But I'm not qualified on that. Arla is much more qualified on that than I am, so I just sit and listen to her.
Well, that's where we're headed next. Is Arla, can you describe a little bit about, again, all the loving beings, star people, whether it's Arcturians, Lyrans, broader, light beings, you name it. How do you like to cover that topic a little bit?
Well, I was always taught they were family. So it, wasn't a stretch for me at all. They've been a part of my life since I was a little girl. And having worked closely with a group that are here now on the earth, doing things for the Earth Mother, helping her physical being as well as spiritual aspects of the Earth Mother, and humanity. You know, what they're doing helps humanity. Within those that I have met personally and have a relationship with are the Arcturians. There are Lyrans. There are Pleiadians. There are Syrians, Sirius B. I'm very connected to those from Sirius B. That is where Circe, the moon water person that I'm connected to, goes and works with the cetaceans. And of course, cetaceans are whales and dolphins, orca, those that are in the oceans. There are others that are helping. There are ascended masters that are helping in this. You know, right now, the things that are happening are creating this confusion for many people because they are looking at something that is coming into our space from a very long way. And you've got so many stories going on about this and what it is, what it isn't. And so it's pushing humanity to stop and think. We're not the only ones. By far, we are not the only ones. And the star people have been here for a very long time. I've been told that contact has been happening for a very long time, but it is also happening now in groups. There are groups of people who are coming together, who are having actual contact with them and becoming a part of the group and working with them to help. There are probably thousands of those type groups around the earth. So all the while that everyone, not everyone, many are seeing confusion and chaos, there's this peace and love and help that's going on. And so when we, once again, focus on that, that's where the healing comes in for everything and everybody that's here, for everything that's on the earth, for the waters and the air. And, you know, Kashima said many years ago, humans don't respect the air, they don't respect the water, they don't respect the earth. They don't have respect for each other. And the worst is they have no respect for themselves. And we are coming back to that. And he's not the only one with that message. That's becoming a universal message for so many of the helpers that we've got, you know, and I'm talking about a personal physical relationship. I have seen these beings, the light codes that I were given, the actual lights that I videoed were shared through an Arcturian. And those codes open up the individual's DNA inside them and brings them information that they need for themselves. But in turn, that helps humanity. So much is going on. That's so wonderful. And the Sasquatch people are a part of that are doing this. The fairies, the elementals, the little people, all of these who were here on this earth, the stone people, the water itself, all of this has come together to help us. Humanity just has to open to it.
I'm going to do a Buddha quote because it kind of applies to all of this. There's it's attributed to Buddha. The way is not in the sky, the way is in the heart. And then, science is trying to work externally through thinking, logic, reason, the rest, calculations, proof, measurements, and so on. But that's not what this is about. And I'd love for you to as we start to wrap up here, I'd love for you to just take a final reminder for us all that it's not all the externals, it's not the details. This new consciousness, this new energy, this old energy of love is just here for us all. What's this all about again, Arla?
It's about the answers that you hold within yourself. And the ancestor grandmothers told me a long time ago that I have all the answers within me. Everyone has those answers within themselves. If you're looking for a guru, look in the mirror through the heart. That's going to be your best guidance. Now, it doesn't hurt to learn other things and read and just devour whatever it is that calls to you. But everything is there within you to let you know if you resonate with that. And one of the things Kashima told me as well was don't judge as good or bad. Ask yourself, are you compatible with this person, thing, and whatever? If you are not, just take yourself from it. You don't have to make a big noise. You just take yourself from it. Go back within, listen to yourself, listen to your heart. It's that simple.
And Thom, you're going to close us out in just a second, but I get to stall as a show host and do a little reminder, public service announcement. And I'm going to read 40 seconds max of some writing from angels from 2014. You both have, I think, have been on Coast to Coast multiple times. I was on Coast to Coast end of August, and that helped push this book to #1. It's Listening to Angels, written by angels. I saw balls of light as I typed. If anyone thinks I wrote this, Thom, I'm unlike you. I did not write this book. It's just, it's sharp, it's compact. I wish I did. But here's a quote from angels. I'd love for you to take it from here in just a second. The whole concept of letting go being in your heart, why is this a big deal for an individual again? When no ego is present, your heart and soul shine through your eyes. You are love, you sparkle. You are one with all and at peace with all. You are whole and content. Listening is opening the line of communication available to each human. Merely be still and listen. Acknowledge and own the step. Move forward today. Just do it. This is a bit like a classic treasure hunt, but here you get to find yourself, like Arla said, since you are the treasure. Do nothing, be, listen, learn, appreciate. Grow your awareness, not your thinking. Be loved to all as often as possible, no more and no less. Thom, can you give us a final reminder on love and what this is all about again?
Love does not count if ego is in the way. Virtually nothing counts if ego is in the way. The first thing we have to do is remove that ego from the equation. Remember, I told you about 2 different lives. Okay, I had a pretty big ego that first half of that life. Man, I come out of school with top grades. I came out of college with top grades, but it didn't mean anything. Okay, I found out what most people are finding out now. For over half the people that have one, the college education means nothing. You know, get off the ego and open your heart, open your mind, accept what others have to say. Remember this, I have never learned one thing from anybody that agreed with me totally. I learn from those that have a different idea. And I'm not so self-centered that I can't accept an idea to look at. We lost a good friend in the last couple of weeks. I've spoken with him many times. He was at my first conference back in 2011, wasn't it? Dr. Jeffrey Meldon.
He passed away?
He passed away.
Oh, I didn't know this. Oh,
Yeah, brain cancer. He passed very quickly.
I didn't know this.
Professor of anatomy, paleontology, Idaho State University in Pocatello, Idaho. We
I'm
have been friends
with
with
stage on this and blow a little smoke if it's okay with everybody.
That's right.
And catch a little flowers if you don't mind, and let everybody bring something. Obviously, sage is what you expect to smell, but the brain is linear. So if you could allow for something extra, it could be peanuts, cotton candy, it could be flowers. And if anyone like really wants him to, I don't know how long it's been, transition time, don't worry about him, but have someone come in, Angel, Sasquatch, somebody, at least get a little squeeze on the shoulder, a hug, the smell of something extra that isn't the sage or the plant medicine. Allow, 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 no try. Yoda, Archangel Gabriel said always try. It's not about words, it's about being in the heart. And I'm going to do Yoda's voice to lighten everything up. And breathe extra at home. If you need extra help, breathe through the mouth. Do not. There is no try. Arla, are you getting extra stuff beyond sage?
It's a birthing smell, and a lot of people may not know what that smell is like, but there's a very definite smell to birthing.
And Tom, what did you get? And then you're signing us off here for the show. You are always welcome to come back on. You'll let me know when. But Tom, what's your final reminder for us all? And what did you get just now?
Just now I got an expansion of my forest smell. And I love it. I just love it.
Yay. I love that. Thank you very much for your patience before the show, now, and for your sharing so much.
Yeah.
Thank you, Tom. Thank you, Arla. Just wonderful having you here. And I've got goosebumps. So, okay. Thank you both.
Bye.
Bye.
Love you guys.
Oh,
bye, honey.
big hugs.
Yes.